Awesome. This is an attempt to be transparent. Old Randy at Boeing, he has a blog. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Randy doesn't write his own blog. He may, but it looks more like it's written by a PR wonk. That isn't fulfilling our expectation of transparency. Not that I personally am in the market for 787, but nevertheless, a big company that's trying to be authentic but struggling a little bit. Whole Foods, and they're concerned about screaming lobsters. Again, a brand that is attempting to be transparent, but we wonder at times if it fully is. The blog is a good attempt at it. Bill Marriott, Michael Dell. Actually, this is from the Austin Game Conference. Dell, I think, goes a little bit further than many in that he does write his own blog. Now he has his own Twitter feed, God help us, and he is at least trying to put himself out there in an authentic way. I can't tell if that's translating into Dell being a more authentic brand, though. Something may be breaking down, but we definitely can say that this extended interactivity allows for greater transparency and is a step in the right direction in terms of using new tools. 10 years ago, CEOs didn't speak to the rank and file. They maybe spoke to a room full of shareholders once a year and to a bunch of analysts on the street quarterly. So this is a step in the right direction, and it's being fueled, in this case, by technology. Maybe a more pleasant example, whether or not you like his politics, Obama's great success, and this has been beat to death in the media now, is that he used these mediums in a way that politicians hadn't in the past, both for raising money, but really for engaging people. So the Obama Nation was really about people that felt that they were part of this. They were part of his brand. And that's why it's ultimately succeeded. It wasn't $10, $50 million donations. It was $100 million $5 donations that got this guy to where he is today. He's definitely got his work cut out for him. Does anyone know who this is? Tony, yeah, Tony Hsieh. So from Zappos. He has one of the most popular Twitter feeds out there. And Zappos, I think, is a neat example. Well, he's posed with shoes. You'd never see this today. You'd see him pose with everything from handbags to garments to clothes, because Zappos is a brand that wants to stand for customer service, not standing for shoes cheaper. In fact, they rarely, if ever, discount products on Zappos.com. I did not know that. His last name means thank you in Chinese. Perfect. I hope that's really his name. And I'm pronouncing it Shay. I know in Taiwan they pronounce it Say, so if I'm saying it wrong, am I saying it wrong? Okay. You want to? Shit. Okay. Yeah. He tweets probably about 4 times a day. I'm not a Twitter guy. I like it. I think that it's probably going to end up being kind of a social network Ponzi scheme, because we're going to run out of readers pretty quickly, because everyone's going to be writing. It'll be like a room with everyone yelling in it. But in the short term, people are interested, and I can't believe the interest they have in what this CEO has to say. But he's putting not only a human face on his brand, but he's making his brand interactive. And it's not just via the tools that he puts up on Zappos or the customer service people that he trains, or he actually offers his employees $2,000 to leave his company. Because if they're insufficiently committed to work there and they'd rather have the $2,000, he wants them out. So I'm trying to get a job there right now. So, what's important is this guy is really engaging that entire realm, that entire virtuous pump of interactivity to make his company very, very successful. It's outgrowing and its competitors by leaps and bounds, even in this market, even without discounting. Generations. Who do we have in this room? Mostly Xers? Mostly Xers. Everyone thinks the millennials, also known as Generation Y, my brother's part of that generation, I often ask why. He has never known the world without a computer, without AOL chat, without the internet. These people all have different expectations for brands. Increasingly, it's being driven from the bottom with a desire for authenticity, though. And as we see this shift, we'll, I think, see these kinds of interactions, again, not just be an expectation or hope and a dream, but a cost of entry. We consider the audience. In fact, that old boomer one, that's the earlier Rock'em Sock'em Gen X in color, which they recently used in a Dodge campaign. They conflated the Rock'em Sock'ems with Dodge trucks because they're both really tough. On the right, we see a millennial version where Rock'em Sock'ems are conflated with something else in that shirt. I don't want to go into a lot of detail about, but it is interactive, and we do see how just a little interactive toy can be portrayed to 3 different generations in interesting ways. I have these. I don't think we'll have time to get to the videos, but they're all on YouTube, and it's pretty funny to compare them. Back to Facebook. So, anyone know what we're looking at?
TOS.
The TOS, yeah. Again, not a Facebook user myself, but this is the call out from the mouse print down there on the bottom. And essentially it says, you can shut off Facebook, but we own everything you ever put there, that you put up, you took down, etc., etc. They put it here in the bottom. So Facebook, this brand that's about creating communities that trust each other. There's even brands now, lots of brands that have their own Facebook sites. Facebook isn't treating their own consumers in a thoughtful way. That virtuous pump that we just talked about earlier with interactivity would actually take consumers of a brand and turn them into constituents, and then if you're really successful, can turn those constituents into evangelists. That's why early on to get with Gmail, somebody had to invite you into it. On Facebook, it's all about these, again, dialogues that take place. And here's something that's basically pushed a lot of people right out the door. So this went up one day, and then, does anyone remember, it was like a day later?
48 hours.
2 days,
yeah.
2 days later. So they basically cave in. It's not on the front page of Facebook. It's just on this TOS thing, which is actually not that easy to get to. It's still buried in that bottom paragraph, and it still kind of says the same thing. You acknowledge that the company may retain archived copies of your user content. This isn't a thoughtful way to reach out to people, and I think Facebook's brand, and whether it's this or the way they've dealt with the app building community or you name it, they've run into a lot of trouble in terms of dealing with their own cycle of skepticism and the way that people perceive that brand and fulfillment. And people aren't fulfilled when they see things like this. Creates negative user reviews and creates a lot of negativity out in the media, which gets entrained with all this stuff. Another example from not too long ago was eBay, changing the way that it was dealing with its merchant community in a non-transparent way. So while they put it on there and they say, hey, it's on the page, we have to ask ourselves the question that just because you put it on a website, are you being transparent? And being transparent, again, also like technology, a means to an end, but transparent means to an end of being a truly interactive brand, a successful brand. And I think we can kind of firmly say no. So here's a conclusion I think that is kind of important. I'm not going to read this to you exactly, but again, what it comes down to is that your interface, whether it's your smiling face or your website or your store or the programs that you have out there in the world for advocacy or cause marketing or whatever they are, they're more important than ever. People are more skeptical than ever. They're more thoughtful about how they spend their dollars. And if your brand isn't succeeding on interaction, and again, I don't mean interaction just like the web, I mean interaction in the big sense, to create a successful relationship, then you're going to fail. It's not if but when.